Hello, this is Boyd Brody, General Manager at Key Cooperative, and I wanted to update the members today on our disaster recovery plan after the storm we all experienced on August 10th. I know everyone's been affected in a large area, been involved in cleanup efforts, a lot of people running on adrenaline, just getting stuff knocked out and getting sites cleared and your own buildings and farms assessed. And we're certainly concerned about the situations that you're all working with. I know crop adjusters have been out a little bit and starting to look at the crops, and our agronomists, originators have also been out in the fields and doing assessments. We're currently working on a systematic assessment across our entire territory to get an idea of what our yield potential was in those various areas, and what amount of damage we have, what standing corn is left, what's harvestable. So as we work with our farmers and our members and the adjusters on what we can do for harvest for this fall. And as we determine that situation, certainly we've got significant damage in a number of our facilities. We have 15 locations that received grain in the fall, and 10 of those locations did experience significant damage. So out of our 30 million or so licensed storage, we've got 40 bins that were damaged, and that represents about 12 million bushel of space. And about 20 of those bins are completely demolished, which represents roughly 6 million bushel of space. We were also in process this year of adding about 3.5 million bushel of space around the company, anticipating some significant yields prior to the storm. And we've also brought in another 3 million bushel of emergency bunker storage that we're placing strategically around at our locations to help with the harvest. So our first priority, as with you, was to really get a good assessment and start clearing our sites. We had to make them safe, so we met in Nevada on Monday after the storm, and then we had demolition starting on Tuesday. We had our adjusters on site from our insurance company, safety and risk, and so we had to move a lot of elevated structures that were unsafe to be around and really to do a very good assessment of those sites. So we've held off on sending a lot of information out to you, our members and customers, until we really had a good plan. So on Tuesday morning, we had a disaster recovery team put together, a task force to address this from all aspects. And of course, the first process was to make the sites safe so that we could approach them, start the cleanup and the deeper assessment of the facilities. So once the assessment was done, also on Tuesday, looking at exposed grain, by Wednesday, we did have salvage companies engaged and on site starting to remove exposed bushels. So we had a couple million bushels of corn and a little over 500,000 beans exposed around the company, and certainly removing those from our facilities, which also will create some space, as we were going to be carrying some corn inventory into harvest with the carry that was in the market. But of course now, with the damaged bins, we'll be removing a lot of those bushels between now and the 1st of October. So second, commitment of a handful. We've got about 5 millwrights working across all of our facilities, at least 4 different electrician groups and teams, good strategic partners of ours, and also some excavation companies that are helping and assisting with some of the cleanup and also doing some of the site work that's needed before harvest starts. Then we looked at what we're doing for repairing and replacing, and also for rebuilding and redesigning some of our facilities depending on the level of damage. So certainly repairing what we have. We'd like to also replace some bins. We did get a number of bins on order as early as Tuesday the 11th and secured for a number of our sites where we've got good foundations and can be doing replacement. And of course, we anticipate some of those bins being delivered right after Labor Day, and then they'll need to be jacked on site. Once that's done, of course, the electrical will have to be restored, and our anticipation is we should be able to get a few tanks up and running the first week of October. And we're selecting the sites where that's critical so that we can provide service to our members. I know at Story City in our Gilbert location, really some minor damage. And so those facilities will operate this fall just as normal. At our Nevada facility, as you can see over to the side here where we've got the concrete elevator, we lost three tanks or three bins and had some damage to the flat. So the three bins represent about 1 million bushel of storage, and also some handling and some legs and some of that equipment. As you can see, the tower on the ground over our electrical building, which was not damaged, and we're able to secure that building and be able to operate all of the Nevada facility and what we're able to construct this fall. So we do have bins on order to replace the three tanks at Nevada. And our anticipation is those aren't needed right away for harvest, but we will need them to load rail and pick up a lot of the piles that we've been building in the bunkers at the Nevada facility. And of course, from my earlier podcasts that I've done for the members, the videos, we've increased our speed at that facility. So we'll be able to operate to most of our storage at Nevada at 25,000 bushels an hour. So Nevada will actually have about another 1.5 million space than we had a year ago to receive member grain from that area and other affected areas. And we should be able to move it very quickly into a storage position so to get you in and out and back to the field. So at our Kelly location, if you look up in the corner, we really lost everything there but two bins. So the 105-foot diameter bin and then about 100,000 bushel bin, and our two flats are still usable for fall. And we have an overhead there as well. We did lose the handling and capacity and the utilization of our dryer at that facility. So we'll be putting an overhead in place, and that will assist in moving any of the wet grain to our Nevada facility to be dried. And we'll definitely put our truck capacity to work as needed to keep that moved away. At the Roland S14 site, as you see right above me there, we lost two bins. You can see the significant damage on the first bin, which is a bean tank, and then the tank behind it with the vortex of the wind going through there, some severe wind damage up around the wind rings towards the top, but also pulled some structural bolts down out by the foundation. So that bin is going to be unusable for fall. We do have both bins ordered for replacement, and we anticipate one of those arriving, at least the steel and materials, right after Labor Day. And of course, we'll have to jack that bin, which takes about a week or so. And then once that's done, we have to do the wiring. Anticipate if everything goes well, we have the materials available to get that done. We should have it done in the first week or two of October while we're probably on bean harvest, and hopefully in place for a good portion of the corn harvest. At the Zeering location, as you can see in the corner there, that location unfortunately was completely destroyed. We do have some thoughts on working with some overheads to receive some grain on site and keep it hauled away. Certainly we'll have a lot of members and customers in that area that are going to have to travel a further distance to get their crops delivered and stored, because a lot of the bin damage out at the farm as well. And so we'll be working with those growers and hosting a meeting right after Labor Day at that location to discuss the alternatives and what we're going to do to help cover some of the costs, the additional costs of moving some of that product to locations that are further away. And Zeering is also one that will be doing a complete rebuild and redesign as we build that facility for the future, so that it really handles our needs going forward in the next decade or two. So the speed is most important to you to get the product brought in and be able to get back to the field. And that's where we'll focus our efforts. We'll be on speed and drying capacity. St. Anthony, that facility, I don't have a picture up, but we had a grain flat that was uncovered and some exposed grain there, and we'll have that covered by the end of this week is the plan. We have another vendor on site to perform that this week. So LeGrand is the other facility, as you can see over to the side of me here. That facility, significant damage. And really all that we have left, all was destroyed except for one bin, a wet holding bin. The flat that you see and the dryer and legs are in good shape. So we do anticipate being able to operate those facilities. We're also working with our neighbors there at that site to the north. And we'll be clearing some of the farm ground there. Some beans will be mowed off, and we'll be putting up a 1,000,000 bushel bunker in time for fall. And we do also have all the bins ordered for that facility to be replaced, and anticipate one tank being on site right around Labor Day or right after, and we'll be able to jack that bin. And if the parts are available, have that operational again by the first part of October. We'll also be meeting with growers in the LeGrand area to discuss what our plans and how we're going to operate to meet their needs for this fall. Then if you look at Grinnell and the Grinnell feed mill, I don't have pictures of those. We had several damaged bins, and most of them are in a usable shape. We're going to have to fix some roofs and a little bit of conveyance and get some stuff fixed by harvest, but fully anticipate to be able to be fully operational at those facilities through the harvest. And we'll be adding a 1,000,000 bushel bunker at the Grinnell site as well, as we do anticipate quite a bit of customer member grain coming off the farm in that area that we have some damaged bins on the farm. At our Newton Rail Center, we've got some catwalks and conveyors that need to be fixed again before harvest. And we have millwrights set up to perform those. Anticipate that will be done in time. And so the Newton Rail Center should operate as normal. The Newton elevator, we're some minor damage, and we're also installing another about a 500,000 bushel bunker at that site to handle additional grain flow that needs to come in from the country. At our Sully location, New Sharon location, Barn City, very minor to minimal storm damage. A little work to do at New Sharon, but I anticipate that being fully operational, and Sully and Barn City, really very little damage. So those will be operating normally. So all in all, we have a few locations heavily affected, but we've taken a lot of strategy in place to do what we can to service the members in those areas. And we will be meeting with growers at various locations here after Labor Day, directly after Labor Day, to discuss exactly how things are going to work. So the disaster recovery team is working hard. We're working with our insurance providers and our adjusters, and also the engineers and the teams that they've brought in to assist. We've been busy since last Monday, as I know all of you have, and we're here to serve your needs as essential business partner. And our agronomists and originators, our location personnel are here for you. And as phone service gets restored all over, certainly you can reach out to us in any way, and we will be coming around to meet with our members and customers at all of our locations to discuss your needs and how we can best serve those this fall. And I think the important thing is moving forward, redesigning and replacing our assets in the country that are going to serve you, our members, for a long time to come. So that's our focus. And that's the update that I had for you today. And thanks for listening. And if you have any questions, by all means, don't hesitate to reach out. I'd be happy to talk to you. Thank you.